Hi, it is the Human Operating System time. So today I'd like to share with you on the topic of superstitions in the Chinese magic. Internal power is a disaster. Demo is never real life. Okay, so one need to know what is going on scientifically. Otherwise, it is a disaster. Now, the reason I share this today is because often there are Wing Chun friends who talk to me on the internal power, the structure power, the mind power, the chi power, all kinds of internal power, and asking me, is that true, and so forth. So today I'd like to share with you once for all so you can see what is going on in reality. Now, if we are superstitions in the Chinese magic internal power, it is like the Boxer labyrinth in China around 1900, where some of the Chinese group believe that their body with some kind of qi gong can against bullets. Okay. So the Chinese at that time, the Qing emperors waged war with the Western countries, and then it end up, you can read in the history what's going on. Okay. So it is a mess if we have no idea what is going on. Now, this is the thing which I often see, and I often get a message from our Wing Chun friends asking me, is this true, or so forth, or debate, so forth. And the way how it play is, in the Chi Sao type of drill, with A, rush in, and B, stand still to take the incoming power with whatever, you call it internal power, mind power, structure power, whatever power. So the idea is, in the Chi Sao positions, or the drill type, B is supposed to stand there still. And then A is coming in, rush in, and B has to take whatever the power from the A. Well, is this type of stuff reasonable? Will this type of stuff develop any kinds of magic power? Well, let's look at it in terms of physics. Now, if we model this scientifically, then the guy who take the force, which is B, you model it like a tripod, okay? And then the guy who is rushed in, you model it as the bull. Okay? Now, so that's what it is. Okay? There are all kinds of magic power, internal power, mind power there. But what it does is like behave like a tripod, ideally. Okay? So we can model it ideally as a tripod model here. Okay, so the idea is, this is a tripod, triangle, and then you can take all the force. Well, is that true? Well, let's look at it. Physically, the entire exchange, okay, even if you have the perfect idea, body conditioning, and so forth, it has to obey to the impulse momentum theorem. of the Newtonian classic, okay, because you're human, okay, so you have to do that. I wrote that in the Wing Chun Matrix book, okay. So this is physics, okay, which say the impulse momentum and force handling are not magical but scientific, okay. So here impact force and equal to change in momentum durations of collisions, okay. So how you want to handle this so-called issue force or fudging or the impact force, this is what it is. The entire thing, it tell you how to do it, and then the receiving force, this is the entire thing. Now, you know what? Momentum equal to mass multiplied by velocity. So the entire thing is actually limited by the body weight of the person or of the opponent and the guy who take the force and the speed. Okay. So say if this bull is much heavier in weight, this tripod is going to get smashed, okay? You just cannot take it because there is a physical limitation there. And so this bull, you need to know the mass and the velocity, okay? So this is living in the physical world. Everything have is limitations. Now, if this bull is exchanged to a small baby, and sure, you can do whatever you like, because it's just a small baby, okay, lightweight and low speed. So, in demonstration, it's always the case, okay. Now, to get further, okay, one need to know that when this thing coming in, the angle, if it's a reality, the angle will never be like, everything never change. Okay, you're going to go this way, like this is bull has to travel this way, and he have to go exact this angle so that all the force transfer into the wall here. Okay. So if it is not, if it's real life, then it will never be. The bull has to be this exact angle, and then all this force will go transfer directly to the wall, and then this one can be very weak and all those kind of stuff. Okay, in the real life, this bull is not going to go that way. Okay. Unless you do a demonstrations, okay, where it's everything planned, but well, that's just a demonstrations, okay. There's just a really narrow cases, which in the real life, it is extremely not likely to happen. And if it is talking into undiplomatic way, it is called, this is mission impossible, okay. Have you ever seen a Western boxer swing a strike at you, and it has to be come from this angle, that angle? You never. Things change. Okay, that's reality. So, realistic and non-function physical body in dynamic play where angle can be off is the default. So what is reality? Reality is thing will be changing. Whatever coming will be changing. Okay? And another thing is, even if one have, say, a force flow development, so that means the 7 bolts is really being developed. Okay? So the force can come in. While that still is subject to the physical limitations. because the momentum come in and whatever it can take, it just has to have a limit there, because this is reality. Okay, if this is a bull come here, no matter how good this guy have the 7 bowls or force flow, he's going to get crushed. It's like you hit by a truck. Okay, no matter how much jing you have, you're going to get hit by a truck. You're going to be crushed. Okay, so that is the reality. Not to mention that if one have this non-function lower 4 bowls, where this lower 4 bowls is holding like a tripod, the force coming in is not going to be able to transfer properly going downward to the ground, and it is going to get stuck somewhere. Wherever the bowls or the joint will get stuck will be damaged. Okay, so that's reality. Unless you are doing demonstrations. Well, in the demonstrations, you can say, well, you have to push me this way. I stand this way with this slow speed. Well, all looks good. But in the real life, as what I say, when you take a punch, a strike from a Western boxer, or a kick from a Thai boxer, or an elbow, or a takedown from a BJJ guy, you are not going to do that. Asking your opponent from Western boxing, BJJ, or Thai boxer, say that, oh yeah, you have to have this angle to come in so I can take your force fully. Well, in a movie you see that, in the real life you don't see that. And if one thinking using this type of internal power in real life, well, there's a disaster. Okay, so even if one is skilled in the 7 bowls force flow handling, where one be able to transfer all force, because one's body be able to really dynamically change the directions of the force and transfer the force. Okay, and not this type holding on your knees and so forth. Even if one have that, still physical limits apply and can only take it sideways, not head on. What do I mean? Say it is a spring. Your entire body, ideally, you can have this internal power or force flow or 7 bowls, whatever you call it. You transform yourself as a spring. Okay? Now, physical limits still apply. You need to know how big the bull you can take. If this is a truck of fire, there's a fire engine coming in, boy, you better run. Okay? Now, when one take it, usually even with those kinds of 7 bowls handling, one is not taking it head on. Because when you take it head on, your entire spring can completely destroy as soon as this momentum is big enough. And the issue is that we don't know, because that is mass multiplied by velocity. Okay? That's your opponent. So usually one will take it with the body of the 7 bowl and force. So one will take it in one way to bounce one off. So if this is the body, the force coming in here, it purposely, like a spring, do not take it head on, so that this is the confrontations of physical limitation. It is using this force to bounce this away. It's not take it head on. Okay? So that is the reality. And that's why in short strike art, in Chinese martial art, you have all kinds of like this is the torque mechanics. Okay, how close, how far you handle, and then in the short strike, you always have the torque and the snap thing where you do not take You do not take things like this. You do not take things head on. You do not take things head on. Okay? So, we need to be really careful. Okay? One cannot expect training something for demo, be able to use in real life and dynamic. And one cannot just simply trust anybody's story. It's like that Boxer Rebellion 1900s history there, where the some group in China saying, well, you know what? Tell the emperors of the Qing saying that, you know, if we train this type of Chinese martial art, we can take bullets. And the emperor is idiotic enough to make war in the same time with 8 countries, including Japan, 7 from the West, including Japan. And end up that the entire thing is a complete mess and disaster. Okay? So learn from the history, learn from the science. And stop to thinking that this type of training can go anywhere. In fact, this type of training, if it is not considered properly, it is going to damage the body. That's for sure. See, you look at that. Those who have the training in the 7 bowls will be able to work their 7 bowls so that they be able to channel the force, action, reaction force. And the 7 bowl has to be fully developed. Now, if one is not developed this type of style, but have this structure, holding and all things, the joints and so forth, holding, the clamping knees, well, you expect whatever take the force coming in is going to burst, at least damage. Okay? So we need to look into the science and like this classical physics. It doesn't need to have to be a rocket scientist. Okay, just look at it into the today's proper science, and one can see what it is. One will not go more than this. Okay, one never go more than this. One never go more than this. Disregard of what style of Chinese martial art, what internal power, what structure, what chi power, what magic power, what mind power. It never get away from this. And no matter what chi power, internal power, all the same thing, it never get away from this force flow and development of the 7 bowls. It never get away. And if it is not trained that way, it is a disaster, because wherever the incoming force stuck is going to burst or damage the person. Okay? So well, I hope that this can clear things up. It is, we better follow science, and we better look into history. Otherwise, what is the point for wasting life and not getting the result, but put oneself into danger. So this is for you today.